Thank you. When I was 20-something, we lived in Brooklyn, New York. And our street was pretty nice. It had these beautiful yellow brick row houses. I mean, they were gorgeously built. But as you go out to the extremes of our street, it was like the Vietnam War had occurred there, like with bombs from the air and everything. It was pretty bleak. Now, they had a strange custom in Brooklyn. If someone died, and you had the funeral, and you had the funeral procession from the church to the cemetery, they would go by the person's old neighborhood. And if the day wasn't sad enough, that trip, I never understood it, was totally devastating. Because they were going by a neighborhood that was essentially plowed under. Now, I used to ride my bike, and it was a little dangerous because one time I was riding somewhere in one of these bleak neighborhoods, and somebody called me over, like to ask me a question. So I stopped, got off the bike, and he grabbed me by the lapel, and I got away that time. Now, another time I was riding on our street where it was just empty lots, just everything raised, except there was one building that was an old service station, and that was being renovated. Now, as I was riding along, I saw, maybe 3 or 4 teenagers chasing another teenager across these lots. And they came right across the street in front of me, so I stopped on the bike. I was watching what was happening. And they ended up on the apron of this service station. There were 2 workmen inside, 2 burly workmen, and they saw these kids approach. And they came out and they were carrying 2-foot, 2x2 clubs. Now, when they saw there were 3 or 4 of the kids, and then the other kid that they were chasing, they figured it's not worth it. They dropped the clubs on the concrete and went back inside the building. So there I am, and by the time they reached the service station, they had caught up with this other kid that they were chasing. One of the boys picked up a club, and I'm watching, and I say, he's gonna kill him. So I dropped the bike, I ran over, and I tackled the guy with the club. That was my first instinct. I was a football player in high school. And I guess the other instinct was I was bigger than any one of them individually. The action totally stopped. It's like you hit pause on your video player. And we scuffled on the ground. He dropped the club. I got up, and he was very wary of me. I guess I was bigger than him, but he had the other kids around. I don't know why they would have been afraid of me, but he was just kind of sizing me up, and squaring off against me. And finally he said, "Do you know karate?" I should have hit the pose right then, but I said no, stupidly. And he threw a punch at me. And he hit me under the eye, knocked my glasses off. That's another thing, I was wearing glasses. He might have thought, who's this, Clark Kent or something? This alien coming into our neighborhood? But he pulled his punch. He was a little afraid. He pulled his punch. I did get a black eye out of it. And then they started arguing among themselves. I think they were saying, well, maybe the workmen will come out and join this guy, and we'll really be outnumbered in weight anyway. And or maybe the police will come, or maybe this guy is an off-duty policeman, or maybe he is Clark Kent, to break out into Superman. But they started arguing. As they were arguing, I found my glasses, put them on. I was backing off towards the bike. I got on the bike and pedaled as fast as I could to get out of there. Now, as all this was going on, the boy they were chasing got away. So he got away probably with his life. And I got away with maybe my life. Just a black eye. And what I decided from this is, if you're not trained in the military or the police, which I wasn't, you don't know what you're going to do when it's a case of life and death. You know, it's fight or flight. And I did both that day.